Well, our coverage of a critical story shaking up tech continues. The Supreme Court hearing arguments against a law that protects how content is hosted and moderated online. Now, the ongoing fight concerns Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. Now, that protects everything from TikTok to review sites from being sued over what third-party users post. Here now with how companies might be affected, Yahoo Finance's Alexis Keenan. Hey, Alexis.
Hey there. So the Supreme Court is hearing two different cases. One was yesterday. I was there for oral arguments at the Supreme Court yesterday, and that was a case against YouTube and Google. Today, the court is hearing a mirror image case on this Section 230 law against Twitter, Google, as well as Facebook. Now, what this law does is what you were mentioning there is it protects content hosts, these online websites, owners of websites, from being liable for what other people say. So the posts, the impressions, the shares, the videos that other people upload to these sites, this law has since 1996 protected them from not having liability over those comments. Now, the suit from yesterday as well as today, both of those cases, they arise from terrorist attacks, from ISIS terrorist attacks, one in 2015 and one in 2017, where the plaintiffs are the estates of the deceased victims of these attacks, and they argue that the companies should be held liable and that Section 230 should not apply because they took affirmative actions to support terrorism. That is sort of the crux of the argument. There are some technical difficulties between the cases, though in the first case, the plaintiffs say that YouTube should lose its immunity because its algorithms recommended harmful third-party content, that is those ISIS videos that ISIS sympathizers then presumably watch. In the second case, it's more about, and Twitter is up there on in the Supreme Court right now as we speak, arguing its case. The plaintiffs there say that Twitter, Facebook, Google, and others should be held accountable and have no protection under Section 230 when they fail to block harmful content. Now, let's talk about the stakes for both major media companies, major social media companies, as well as just plain old independent, smaller site owners. This impacts all of those parties that would host third-party content. But let's look at annual revenues for advertising in 2022. First, take a look at Google, $224.5 billion earned last year on advertising alone. And what you have to think about here is that if Section 230 changes and its scope is limited to put more liability on these companies for what other people say, that then their advertising revenues would presumably take a significant hit. Look at Facebook, $113.6 billion in advertising revenue last year. And if we look at Twitter's second quarter, we don't have full annual results after the Musk acquisition of the company and now that it's private. But in that quarter of 2022, about $1.18 billion in revenue there. So, Rochelle, these cases are just major cases. The justices, though, struggling with trying to figure out how, if at all, they would change this law because it's really difficult to figure out what is just an algorithm acting sort of in a, if you can even say there's a neutral capacity for algorithms to operate because they are created by humans after all, but an algorithm that just kind of applies the same system to no matter who is searching to serve them up content they might want versus making an actual recommendation to a user to say, based on your profile, you should take a look at this content. So that is what the court is grappling with over these 2 days.
I mean, there could be incredible consequences here. You have to wonder how then, what this means for moderating when people do try and put content online. How quickly, especially if you're a small business, can you really keep up with the content that's coming out at a rapid pace? Yahoo Finance's Alexis Keenan. Thanks. Great stuff there.